So now it's all you paid people. And so if you give me your you paid people for this month, your special gift is nude pics from Reese and I. So if you send us your Snapchat account or your
credit card
numbers, we will send you nude pics of ourselves. We're also starting an OnlyFans account where we do nude stuff. We bake nude. We fry bacon in the nude.
This sounds like a real good way to get a third-degree burn on your penis.
Yep. And another thing we like to do is we like to go in kind of damp areas in the woods during mosquito season and roll around naked and see how many bites we can get. We're just trying to start our own niche fetish category, mosquito bites.
We do?
Yep, we're doing it.
Oh, okay.
We're doing it this year. Spring of 2022 is going to be the launch of the mosquito fetish.
It's called join the West Nile High Club.
Yes, the West Nile High Club. That's another shirt. West Nile High Club, picture of a mosquito. Oh. Yep, that's it right there. All right, so we're going to continue, you guys, with some more questions. Derek Schumacher, I believe he is a Formula One race car driver, a legend. Derek Schumacher.
Okay.
He asks, disasters, ? Lost gear. Actually, I think that's how I wrote it. I don't think he asked it exactly like that. But
disasters? ?
Yeah. Has there ever been disasters? Have you ever been through a disaster on tour? I know you talked about a car accident that you saw. Have you ever lost your gear? Have there ever been things like that, broke down in the middle of nowhere, anything like that while you're out on tour? What are some of those things that have happened?
Yeah, for 5-iron, we had a couple. I mean, you know what? I feel like we're very blessed. Just about every band we know had their stuff stolen. So either their trailer got stolen or broken into, or their van got broken into. And we had, Dennis would always, you could tell how far along we were in the tour because Dennis handled all the money or like how far away we were from a Wells Fargo bank.
Yeah.
Because that was what our account was. Because he would be carrying so much cash. And he would like sleep with a backpack full of cash because he didn't trust us. Rightfully so. He did not. I would be like, guys, check out my new shoes.
Yeah. Like, what's it called? A Nacho Libre when he goes and buys the new patent leather white shoes.
Yes. But you could always tell Dennis like how well we were doing by how freaked out he looked all the time. So you're like, oh, it's been a good week. Dennis is uptight. He looks like he's about to kill us all. So we never got robbed that I can remember. One time my car got broken into while we were recording, and they took the stereo. And what sucked is I had an engagement ring for one of the many ladies I was engaged to. So they got that. And then she got another one and then dumped my ass.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. So we had this was like our first tour with 5 Minute Walk. I remember we played in Dallas, and then we flew to maybe Boston or New York, New Jersey, and then we were gonna we flew to Charlotte, and then we drove somewhere, played a show, and then came back to Charlotte, or we just played a show, and then we had to get there before our gear could get there. and it was like a Billy Graham Crusade-esque thing. It was like not a Billy Graham Crusade. It was esque in Charlotte.
Okay.
And Frank had hired some kid to drive our stuff. Have I talked about this?
It sounds kind of familiar, but hit us with it again.
Always, on episode 27, I'm just like, it all sounds like the same freaking story. By episode 100, it's going to be like, yes, you've told that 5 times.
Yeah, we won't have any other stories at that point.
We need a fact checker to do the Skyping with us. That'll just be like, just shake their head. Nope. Episode 38, you talked about this.
Yeah.
So Frank hired this kid from the show. I don't know how he found him. I think just asking fans. Like, hey, do you have a job? Do you want a job? Okay. 5R needs their van driven to Charlotte. And then found this kid, and he was like gung-ho. He wanted to do it, whatever Frank paid him, which I'm sure was not a lot, but this kid was very excited. He paid him. And
paid him in 5R shirts.
Yeah, exactly. He's like...
Kid got 4 5R shirts.
Hey, guys, do you have this in medium? Frank, you don't look like you're a medium. Yeah, I'm thinking about losing weight. Okay. So then the kid, after the show, we didn't have to fly out till the morning. We're like, great, we don't have to, we can hang out tonight. So we went out to Denny's or something. Kid came. He's hanging out with us till 1 in the morning. And Frank is kind of elbowing him like, don't you think you should start driving or get some sleep? So the kid left at 1, started driving to Charlotte. We flew the next morning, played the show. And then, you know what? It seems like we played another show because we wouldn't have played without gear. Maybe we did. Maybe they brought horns and guitars. This sounds like it. They brought their stuff on the plane. We played this show. And then we needed, that's what it was. We needed it because it had our sleeping bags and stuff. And I think we were still sleeping on the floor in those days. So, or calling the kid, being like, hey man, where are you at? Or it might have been before cell phones. I don't remember. I think Frank was in touch with him because Frank flew out with us. And he's like, yeah, I'm really tired. I haven't slept yet. Texting us or calling us because I think it was 96, 97. Let's go with 97. And January of 97. So all of a sudden, Frank's like, hey, good news is he's about 2 miles from the hotel. And we're like, cool. What's the other part, Frank? And he's like, yeah. So bad news is he crashed the van.
Oh my gosh.
So, this is that 1981 Ford Econoline that Frank's buddy Thane had gotten for us in Wyoming that had the 2 gas tanks.
Yeah.
And for a trailer, we had this old horse trailer we bought in Evergreen, Colorado from some dude. And this thing weighed, before our roommate had welded shut all the windows, it weighed about 2,000 pounds. So that thing was getting a good 4 miles to the gallon. Pulling this thing. Somehow this kid had fallen asleep. The van he didn't do anything to, but the trailer, this thing was a monster. It was all metal. It had ripped off the fender and lost its axle. And then our merch was all over the highway. Stuff was falling out. So somehow they had gathered all the boxes, and we got there, and it was like they stopped traffic, got everything off the highway. We didn't lose any merch. I think some had tire tracks on it, and we had to discount it. But we were just like, I think you can wash it out. $5. Here you go. And then it was like Lenor's backup saxophone. It was like her high school saxophone got hit and the bell got dented. And I believe she's still upset about it because it was like, it was sentimental to her, and they couldn't get the ding out of it. You know, like no, whatever the occupation is that repairs horns, that guy couldn't fix it.
Saxophonist.
Saxophonist. Could not
fix it.
Yeah.
We had a few disasters. The first one that comes to mind is the very first time we drove out to California. It probably wasn't the first time, but one of the first times we drove from Detroit to California. We were crossing through like Arizona, New Mexico. We're in some sort of desert area. And our trailer blows a tire.
Mm-hmm.
So we pull off to the side of the road, we unhook the trailer, and then the guys are like, well, how about some of you stay with the trailer, because it's got all our crap in it. Some stay with the trailer. We'll drive the van into town with the tire, get the tire replaced, bring it back, put that back on, and then we'll continue. Okay, cool. So drop the trailer. So me, Nate, and I think Todd decide to stay with the trailer. Everybody else gets in the van and they head off to the nearest town, which if you've ever seen like those movies where someone's in the desert and you can see a car coming from 10 miles away and there's nothing else around, that's where we were. And so we're off on the side of the road. The sun is beating down on us. We are in a desert. Sun's beating down on us. We end up opening up the back of the trailer so we can get in the trailer to get out of the sun.
Uh-huh.
No cars are coming by us. No car has passed us since our van left. And we think it would be hilarious because we're all 19-year-old kids. We think it is so funny. We think there's just pure comedy in the fact that we are on a highway that is empty. So to us, we're thinking like highways are called highways because they're just busy with cars.
Yeah.
But this highway had nothing. So we thought this was funny as 19-year-olds. We got like instruments out and we did a marching band. So
are you kidding?
Like Nate got out like a trombone, Todd got out, a trumpet. I forget what I had, and we did like marching band. So we just wanted to be able to say that we did a marching band down the middle of a highway. Now, there wasn't a car within, like I said, you could look to the east, you could look to the west. There weren't cars coming at all. And by the time you saw a car, you probably had 15 minutes before it got to you.
Oh my gosh.
And so we're like, we just think we're the most hilarious people just doing a marching band on the highway in the middle of the desert. We just thought that was the funniest thing in the world.
Yeah.
And so we had that. We had blown a tire. We were in Chicago, and we drove through a pothole. We drove over a pothole, and our trailer tire broke off the axle. And since we were in downtown Chicago, what do you do when you break down in downtown Chicago? You call Japuza. Mm-hmm. So Japuza showed up with like a flatbed. Oh
my gosh.
Yeah, they put the trailer on the flatbed, and then we followed them back. And because Japuza has like in-house mechanics or whatever.
Are you kidding?
Yeah, they worked on it like all night for us. We stayed there. So in the Japuza building in downtown Chicago, in the housing building, it was like an old retirement high rise that
It was the hotel that Al Capone owned.
was it?
Yeah, like
I didn't know
Do you
that.
remember that Geraldo Rivera special, like the mystery of Al Capone's vault?
Yeah,
It was that building.
it was.
Yes.
I didn't know this.
I mean, I could be wrong, but a couple people have told me that.
Really, I got to look that up. So they take it in, and like they're just Japoos are just such loving people. They were like, all right, let's get the mechanics up. They'll work on it all night. Insiders will have you guys back out on the road like tomorrow. So they let us crash at their like hotel, their like apartment complex. They gave us like an entire floor to stay on by ourselves. And me and our road manager at the time, his name was Mark. Mark and I sat in this window that looked down the street in Chicago.
Yeah.
We sat in this window for hours. We probably sat in it probably at 11 o'clock, and we were still sitting in it at like 3 in the morning. And we just watched like the nightlife come out on this busy Chicago street. We saw somebody get hit by a car while
my
we're sitting up
gosh.
there. We
Like
see
a car get hit or a person walking?
a person on a bike got
my gosh.
drilled by a car.
No.
Yep. And then the car pulls over the side. Ambulance comes, gets the dude, takes him away. We saw like a fight out on the street. I mean, we just sat there and we were probably on like the 8th floor. So we were at like a really good height, could just see down both streets and stuff. It was one of the coolest experiences that came from this crappy, trailer being broke. And then the next day, we get done. We have breakfast in the Japuza complex with everybody. And they're like, hey, man, your trailer's done. Your van's ready. You guys are all set. And it's like, what's the charge? And it's like, no charge. Whatever it was. I mean, it was like nothing. And we basically paid for parts. Then that was it. We were on our merry way to wherever we were going. So we never had disaster. We would have these like little things that would like try our patience or our equipment or, would make us late, something like that. We never had anything that was horrible. I think I've discussed on whether it was this podcast or my Average Jerks, I discussed the near like plane crash that almost happened. So like that was a biggie. I don't have to do that one again. You guys can listen to past episodes or go listen to Average Jerks. I talk about that more in detail.
It's so nice that you remember it, though. We're both dead sober.
Yeah.
And we're like, did we tell this before?
Yeah.
I'm glad you did.
Yeah. So those were some of mine. And you never lost gear. Oh, what about luggage? Have you ever gone to Europe and lost your luggage? That happened to us.
Not in Europe. We would lose, because we would ship merch in boxes usually or giant bags, and those would get lost constantly. And then, as we started getting bigger, we would not be able to pack all the merch for the tour. This happened after 2 years. And so that was my job in management, was getting everything drop shipped. And it was insane. Really, if I wanted to put anything, if you could describe this to anybody on my resume and just be like, look, dude, this is why you need to hire me for your company. Because before there was cell phones, I would do this from a payphone and negotiate with UPS and FedEx and the screen printer, working out some crazy net 60, net 30 deal where they would cut us credit and then ship stuff. And then if it wasn't going to show up at this show, call the UPS and have them hold it so we could pick it up and then get, get volunteers and stuff. That is the craziest job I think I've ever had to do, just juggling all that stuff.
Do you look back
So,
on that
like,
and say, like, I couldn't do that now? Could you still do that job now? Or did you just have the fire and the desire to do it then?
yeah, it was mostly just because it was like, I'm with my 7 best friends, and if I screwed up, that might mean the difference between us being able to pay our meager salary or getting a bonus and stuff. And I did mess up sometimes, but what the only thing that is close to that is having been an ICU nurse and juggling somebody that's on about 5 drips and like a artificial kidney machine and your guy next door is coding. That's kind of what it's like, except nobody dies if you don't get your shirts.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was mostly just merch. We lost merch. Every once in a while, somebody would leave a horn at the venue or a guitar or a kick pedal, and then you'd call the promoter and see if they could send it, Stuff like that was rough.
Yeah, I remember the second time we went to Europe, when we went and we did like a small tour, like we did like a week with Demon Hunter and Good Weather Forecast. So it was Good Weather Forecast, us, and Demon Hunter, and then Demon Hunter was over for like a week and separated, and then us and Good Weather Forecast kept going. And I remember for that we flew in and nobody's luggage got there. Nobody's luggage got there. And so we had flown from like Detroit to, I think, New York, or maybe we just went from Detroit to Amsterdam to Germany. And it was one of the, the switchovers where our luggage didn't make it.
I always forget Detroit is like a hub for, what was it, Northwestern? And now it's part of Delta.
Yes. Yep.
So you guys had, we had Frontier in Denver, and I think maybe Continental, but it was hard to go direct. Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
No, you're good. Yeah, it's very hard here in Detroit to go direct to a lot of places. Most places are at least one. You're at least changing planes once.
Yeah.
And so we would go to Amsterdam and then to Germany, and it was none of us got our luggage. So it's frustrating enough when you're in the United States and you fly somewhere and you don't get your luggage.
Right.
I've flown to Hawaii and then my luggage didn't make it with us to Hawaii. But you're in Hawaii. People speak English. People take the American dollar, all that. When you show up in Germany, and just like here, how when you lose your luggage, you have to find that little office and like fill out the paperwork for your lost luggage. And now you're in Germany and you're having to do that. It's even more frustrating. It's worse. It's all of those things because you don't know what you're doing. You don't know what they're asking you, all that stuff. So that was...
Still have underwear? Were you able to... How long did it take to get your bags?
I think we were without luggage for about a day, maybe 2, maybe a day.
Okay.
So I think we flew in, and like by the next day we had it, but it was like, oh my gosh, like, you've been flying and you want to get the hotel and take a shower.
Brush your teeth.
Yeah, but like if you take a shower, you just got to put on your like clothes that you've just been sitting there farting in a whole flight, butt sweat. Your undies are damp anyway. You got to put all that stuff back on. Or you're just like, you know what? I'll wait. And then you're sitting in your like hotel bed or whatever in the same thing in those nasty clothes. So that was awful.
I think the solution, Joe, is just nudity.
Absolutely. Just streak everything you sit on.
Well, and then like you're not going to lose your keys.
Never.
You're not going to... Change is not going to fall out of your pockets.
Nope. Because this is what I was thinking. You know what a weenus is, right?
I look at pictures of them on the internet.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So the extra skin on your elbow is called your weenus. And
That's what I was thinking.
right. And so because that's just kind of useless, I was thinking put a zipper there and use that as a coin purse.
What if you bend your elbow? Would it like shoot change out?
Well,
Or is there enough space?
I think there'd be enough space. It would be like, you remember growing up, Ruse shoes? And they had like the little zipper pocket.
Heck yeah.
You could fit like a dime or two in that little pocket.
What
That.
happened to those things?
I don't know, man. They went the way of the buffalo as well.
I'm gonna sue because I want that back.
The
I'm gonna
kangaroos, the ruse.
I'm gonna sue God
Ooh,
about
that's
that.
that's a tall task.
Yeah,
That
I
is
don't
a
think I
tall
could do that.
task. All right, let me check and see what other questions we have here. What's been answered? What hasn't? Boop 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 boop. Reading these.
Reading these internet
Yes.
questions.
Now we have a pretty deep one here. We have roughly 30 minutes left for the paid, and we have a pretty deep one here from Mike Pollock. And Mike Pollock asks, "What does the word Christian mean to you in terms of faith, fellowship, finances, individually, and as part of a band?"
That's a huge question.
Huge question. So, what does the word Christian mean to you in terms of faith, fellowship, and finances, both individually and part of a band?
I'm writing this down. Faith, fellowship, finances.
Individually and part of a band, what does the word Christian mean to you?
Do you want to go?
Yeah, I think mine will probably be shorter than yours, but I think my answer would be, I think I've said it before on this show, that my Christianity, who I was in the Insiders, I think is completely different 20 years later, who I am as Joe Yerke now. I think when I was in the Insiders, I was spreading a message that I had only learned about, I hadn't lived, and I hadn't tested. And so the faith and the gospel that I was spreading to others and telling people about the love of Jesus and everything like that was completely true, but in a lot of it, I hadn't experienced any of it. So I was trying to share an idea with somebody else rather than a belief and something that I had truly experienced. And I think now the 44-year-old Joe, I talked ad nauseum about how my first divorce just blew everything out of the water. Like it blew, not drinking, gambling, all these like little things that like I would never do because of the church that I went to, or because how people around me who are Christians might think of it. It changed all that. So when it rocked my world, it destroyed me to the point where I was just like, this is all nonsense. I've told you guys, listeners, you've heard me say this probably more than 5 times. It stripped me down to the brass tacks. And I just realized what was truly important to be a Christian and not. So in terms of my faith, I believe every word of the Bible. I don't pick and choose. I don't try and twist it to what in 2021, I don't try and look through it through the lens of 2021. The word is the same yesterday, today, and forever. And so whatever it was yesterday, it should be that today. And so I don't try to change things because of the time or whatever's in pop culture. I believe as a Christian, I believe every word that is in the Bible. Fellowship, as a 44-year-old, I want to fellowship with as many people as I can. Gay, straight, transgender, angry, Democrat, liberal, Republican, whoever. I want to fellowship with everybody because my ministry has gone from standing on stage and preaching and singing songs of the gospel and things like that to a relationship aspect of witness. And so just to be able to get close to someone, be able to just become friends with someone, break bread with somebody, and then just say, to be able to have those conversations of when things go wrong, and to be able to tell somebody that you're praying for them, or you sit down at a meal and you say your prayer prior to eating, and they're like, what are you doing? What are you praying? Are you praying? Why are you doing that? And to be able to have those conversations on a more relationship level, that's where I see fellowship nowadays as a Christian. I don't see fellowship as in, hey, the church is going to have a fellowship Sunday where after church we're all going to have a big spaghetti dinner and we're going to, that's not Christian. Well, I guess it is Christian fellowship. I'm contradicting myself. So
that's called fellowship.
Right. So,
sorry,
but you're right.
Sorry,
exactly.
Mom. Oh, my mom's not a Patreon.
Yeah. So, like the fellowship and the relationship aspect of it, I guess is what I'm getting more at, where I see through the pep rallies for Jesus. They're just like a bunch of Christians sitting around like, yay, yay, rah, rah, rah. And I like more of the hey, we're not Christians sitting around. We're Christians sitting with the broken and the people that don't believe what we believe, and the people that have been hurt by what we believe, and people who have been hurt by the church, and just chatting with those people and just being kind of real and normal with them. That's what the word Christian means to me when we're speaking about fellowship. And then when we speak about finances, I can say that I have zero. I've gone through 2 divorces. I'm 44 years old. I'm starting over again. I live with my sister. So as far as finances go, I have none. But I do have to say I do subscribe to the Dave Ramsey, plan of saving and finances and contributing and helping people out. And if I can help, if I can give a buck, if I can do something and help somebody out, or someone's going through something, in any way that we can to help alleviate that, I would love to. When I do those things, I play this game at night when I can't sleep. I think other people play this game too, but I play this game that if I can't sleep, I lay in bed and I think, if I won the lottery, if I had $200 million, what would I do with it? And I start to go through and think of all the people I would help and all the things I would do. And it's never, oh, I would buy a solid gold toilet. It's not those things. It's always, when you think of finances, just being able to help so many people, the more money you get, the more you can help people. And
you don't think a solid gold toilet would honor the Lord?
I mean, I do. Do you think Joel Osteen has one?
Maybe.
Well,
maybe.
I have a friend. Our trumpet player Bram Roberts. His brother Bill, his older brother Bill Roberts, goes to my church. Is a great friend of mine. Bill Roberts has been blessed with finances. My man is not. My man is not hurting. He's blessed with finances. But he's also the most generous guy you will ever meet. So if he has, extra Tigers tickets because he has them for work, so Detroit Tiger tickets, he'll call you, hey, I have these extra tickets. You want to go to the game? And it's not like, yeah, sure. Oh, they're $25 a ticket. He gives them to you, or he'll, I remember when my wife Leslie and I were going through an issue with finances. He would buy us groceries, and and he lived probably 40 minutes away, and him and his wife would go grocery shopping and then leave groceries on our porch. And so Leslie and I would get home and our porch would be filled with groceries. So he's blessed with finances, but it's not like he earns X amount and he spends X amount. He earns whatever he earns, and he helps so many people out. And he doesn't tell anybody that he did this. So I know whatever he's doing for me, or he's done for me, he's done for other people. And there's probably a long line of people that he's done that for. So he's definitely blessed with finances. I always tend to think, if that was me, if I was ever in that situation, that I would do what I have seen others do, like Bill Roberts, and definitely share the wealth. So that's always a tricky one to get into when you say what is Christian, what does the word Christian mean in the sense of finances? Because I don't know. I'm not blessed with finances. I don't think I'll ever be blessed with finances. I just get by, and I'm okay with that. But that's what I would like in a fantasy world where I ever was blessed with finances. That's what I would like to think, is that I would be like Bill Roberts there and helping out. But so what do you think? What does the word Christian mean to you in terms of faith, fellowship, and finances?
Well, I think that the word Christian has a lot of negative connotations in this day and age. So I just want to clarify that what I mean by saying I'm a Christian is I mean you should not swear and that women should not wear pants.
Correct.
No, I mean, so it's horrible. I don't want to say it's horrible. I think the church has earned this. It's horrible that this has happened. It's horrible that what you hear about the church in popular culture or the media is all the negative stuff. But then we still don't turn it off. Like, we still don't get it. And there's still priests out there diddling young boys, and just like all this psychological trauma that the church has heaped on people for 2,000 years, and abuse. We just continue it. And like, we're doubling down. I think like in evangelical culture now, it's just like people are just like doubling down. Like, oh, yeah, you don't like that about us? Well, hey, guess what the church is about now? Shooting guns in the air. It just seems like that is where we're going, and it's not. It just seems to me that it's counter to the character of Christ, or the person of Christ, or the example of Christ. And so for me, I'm not saying I'm not a Christian. I am a Christian. I believe in Christ. I believe in the life and teachings of Christ. I believe in God. I told my story a couple weeks ago about me being attacked by demons. I mean, that's where it starts for me, is that I believe that there is a God, that there's a Holy Spirit, that there's Jesus, that they saved me from demons, that that's real. And so because of that, I have to believe that a good God would somehow tell us about himself. And so to me, I think the thing that lines up the best is Scripture. And I don't think it's infallible. I don't think our translations are infallible, but I think we can get close. We can learn more about God by studying Scripture. And that doesn't mean just being like, King James Version is God's mouthpiece to you, because it's not. That's crap. Like, I'm not hawking any dogma here. Like the King James Version, sure, it was good for a while, but when you look at it, it was the Bible translated from Greek into Latin, into French, into English, and it's full of translational errors. And I just, you just can't be dogmatic about it. So for me, like, I think my Christianity, I have been in that place where I've been like, no, the Bible's, it's God's word, it's infallible, and this version is the only one. I've done that. I've been that kid, and then I realized that hurts people. It hurt me. It hurt people I loved. It made me angry and kind of digging my heels where I didn't have to. Here is what I would like you to do if you want to understand why I believe or how I believe is just read the book of Romans. The New American Standard Version is a good translation. It's not perfect, but it's decent and it's easy to read. Read the book of Romans, like from start to finish. If you want to read just a chapter a day, do that. You know, if it's too heavy. But it starts out, it's the Apostle Paul, who was like a superhero to Jewish people. He studied under this teacher called Gamaliel, who was like the leading expert of Hebrew law, of like Levitical law and of Scripture. Paul was this guy's star student. He was set up to take over for Gamaliel. And then Jesus appears to him and says, you know, Saul, why are you persecuting me? Changes his name to Paul. He spends the next 10 years just kind of chewing over like how Jesus is the Messiah and how to talk about this to people. And he becomes the apostle to the Gentiles. And I think the best way to see how this fits, and if you have problems with the Bible and with the behavior of Christians and stuff, read Romans. Like, starts out, Paul is just like, every single person since the beginning of time has been aware of God and his existence and the fact that he's good. Whether he revealed himself to you or not, you get that. And we all make laws based off of that. Like, don't murder people, don't steal. Every society has done it. And we all break those. And Paul is just saying, by our own laws, we're guilty. We're guilty by Levitical law. We're guilty by the law of God. We're all guilty. We all need salvation because this is what separates us from God. And, you know, like, then read through Romans, get this, and then go back, and when you read the rest of the Bible, the Old Testament, it makes more sense. Because otherwise you're just like, this is fucked up. Like, what? There, I mean, like, you could be like the glaring examples of like Sodom and Gomorrah, and you're like, everybody had to die? Did everybody have to die? They didn't have any good in their heart. There was nothing. Or read, you know, like when you read through like Kings and Chronicles, where it's just talking about the history of Israel, where they'd have to go in or like Exodus, or you know, like the stories of Moses, like when they were coming to the Promised Land, they'd fight somebody and they'd have to go in and kill babies. They'd have to kill off this entire population. And sometimes they wouldn't do it and God would punish them, like kill them. It's hard to swallow that for me, and I think for most of the world. But just read Romans and understand this, that I think that like this is like the reverse matrix that we're in. It's going to get crazy. But like, we are souls. We are souls. There is something supernatural about just the fact that you exist as a soul. You're in this body, which dies. So this is the reverse matrix. Like, you're in this flesh. You are a soul. Your body's going to die. It's nobody escapes this. How you live matters. But like, what the whole point of Scripture is your soul. Not that you died. Not that people in Sodom and Gomorrah died. Not that Hebrews had to kill people, or they had to wipe out entire populations, or they were commanded to commit genocide, because those souls are what mattered. And what Paul says is that, you know, like, one, we're all aware of that. We're all aware at some point that we have failed. God has revealed his goodness in creation, and we saw like part of that, wanted it in every society, and made rules and fell short. So we need Christ. So, you know, Paul says that just having faith in that is enough to save you. And I think there are a lot of theologians that will argue, and a lot of people may get on and argue with me that faith is specifically laid out in Romans, that it is in Jesus Christ. And I'm not going to argue that, but I do think that God is think I'm merciful. I try. So if God is merciful, it's going to be way more. So since I think this is about our souls, I do not, I guess this is hopeful. That I hope that what the point of Scripture and of Paul saying that you have to have a saving, knowledge and a belief in Jesus Christ to be saved, I don't think it has to be in life. I think that you could die and you can see this and be saved. I hope that.
Yeah.
But I also feel that, like, so when you read Romans, it gets through all that, and then it's like, and this is why you're condemned, because of the law. And the law is just set up because God is holy. It's to show us how unholy we are, how God cannot interact with us unless Jesus was a sacrifice, like that he completed that law. And now he can. Like, now we can have fellowship with God. We can know him. And then the rest of it, of Romans, like from like the middle of 13 on, it's even before that. It's like at the end of 12, Paul just is like, here's what you should do with this. Here's what you should do with your faith. And there's no like list of things you can do to be good. It's just, this is what should change in you. When you realize that you are loved, and you realize that there's no height or depth or angel or principality that can separate you from the love of God. Once you realize that, this is what your life will look like. And it's taking care of people. It's helping people. It's putting the needs of others before you. It's loving other people. I think where people get tripped up about Christianity is that whether for false motives or good, the church has been a machine of political control and of creating huge amounts of wealth and using guilt and using, hey, here's what you need to do to be good. God will not accept you unless you are good. That the church has used that for 2,000 years to stay in power or to gain power or to gain wealth. Or some people just grew up with that message and were like, this is what I need to do. And that is not the gospel that I believe in. I just believe if you believe that Jesus is God and that he, whether it's in this life or afterwards, that he died in your place, you'll be saved. And what I take from this, like my personal journey, is that my life is so much richer believing this, in knowing good Christians. And I don't mean good in like, hey, this guy doesn't do bad things. Right. He's good. But I mean compassionate people and people that love and are sacrificing. People that spend their lives giving more than they take. My life is so much richer for that. And I would not trade that. Like if tomorrow I found out that this was all just some fake lie that got cooked up by Paul, I'd still want it because I love the people and I love being part of that. I love being part of 2,000 years of sacrificial love and really good people, really charismatic, great, caring, loving people. I think that the world turns this into like you see like a cartoon about Christmas and you're like, what does feel good is giving. It does feel good, but you're getting a part of that. It feels good because why? Because God made you in his image. And when you give, if you do that and you acknowledge that that part of you is doing it out of worship or because you're part of the church or part of you're an adopted son or daughter of God. It is more. It is more than just I'm a good person because I gave. It's I'm a good person because God loves me and made me this way, and I'm tapped into this amazing, beautiful 2,000-year movement or 9 billion year old story to create mankind, and for you to experience unconditional love. That is cool. So that's me as an individual.
Yeah.
Five Iron as a band, we have two. Sometimes they say they're atheists. I believe they're agnostics, Andy and Scott. I don't think they discount the fact that there could be a creator or there could be a God. They just don't know. And they're not comfortable saying they know. I think that at times they've had faith and then wavered on that, where they're like, I can't say without a doubt. And so I just don't want to publicly state this, which I love them for that. I think it takes a lot of strength to be in a band that is a Christian band, like it's all Christian guys and we sing about Christian things. But now I feel like the burden that I have is part of it just I've grown with age, that I don't want to just choke people with biblical principles. I want to state something that we can all agree on, which is usually, in these days, it's social justice stuff with Five Iron or criticizing the church. I think we can all get behind that because I think a lot of what the church is doing is harmful and it needs to be called out. But we're still a Christian band, I guess, however you say that. There's 6 of us, and we want to sing about Christian things, and we usually pray before every show. I don't know what that means. Like, we're not Skillet. We're not that Christian, I guess, if that is Christian.
They're the Christian band.
Yeah, then we're not a Christian band.
Yeah.
Without airing any of my negative feelings towards Skillet, I'm just going to say we're not that.
Yeah. No, I mean that's a lot to chew on there. That's definitely a lot to chew on. And I mean, in the way Mike Pollock asks the question, I don't want to come back and retort, but the thing that just me and you being friends, the thing that I just keep hearing, whether it's from you or from other people, is always because you said it now, what the church is doing wrong. You want to call out the church on stuff. So for me personally, I don't know what that means, because the church to me is my church. So the church that I attend, these atrocities or this political gain or the manufacturing of wealth and things like that doesn't happen at my church. So with my church, I don't see that. When you talk about the big C or whatever, the Christianity and the church as a whole, I'm still blinded by that, because in my life, I go to my church, I make it to church a couple of Sundays a month, maybe, because of work or because of scheduling, whatever. I only make it to church a few times. I'm not listening to Christian podcasts. I'm not listening to televangelists. I'm not listening to, I don't get Reader's Digest that tells me what I need to boycott that week because of, something that somebody said. So for me, I don't see this this overall overbearing quote unquote church out there that's telling me and my people to do these things that I'm embarrassed about or things like that. I understand there's a history. So like there's a history where maybe if you were gay within the church, you were like booted out of church, you know, and people thought like gay.
There's a long history of that.
Yeah. So like that's what I'm saying. That like I can look at that like something like that and say, well, I think we've all come to the realization that like you don't choose to be gay. You know, like you could be gay within the Christian church, and that's between you and God, and you have to figure that all out. As a straight male, I can't tell you how to be gay and a Christian. Just as a gay Christian, you can't tell me how to be a straight male. You know, and be a straight male and be a Christian, and what I should think of and what I shouldn't think about, and if I see this person at church and what they're wearing makes me think this or whatever. Like the gay Christian still has the same issues. He's just gay. So I can understand those types of things, but I never understand when somebody says, you know, I have to call out the church now in 2021. I have to call out the church after this because I don't know who that is. I don't know who's oppressing people. I don't know who's telling me as a white, male, bald, ugly, suburban Christian dude, I'm not being told to like oppress anybody or make any certain group uncomfortable. You know what do you see what I'm getting at, or am I not explaining myself well?
It's a church with the big C. Your church is awesome.
But I mean, overall, I guess like our church is doing this now. Like the churches that I know are like my church.
No, like, yeah, I like. About every 3 months, Pat Robertson will say something where you're just like, oh my gosh, can that guy die already? And that's a horrible thing, but I think stop. Just stop opening your cake hole, Pat. I mean, shut the fuck up.
And I know on the other hand, like, if there's, let's just make numbers normal, right? So if there's 1,000 churches across the country and 10 churches think this crazy stuff and that's what makes the news, and these 10 churches are the ones bombing abortion clinics and, you know, doing these things, like those 10 churches don't become the church. The 990 are like... No. Represent Christ in the church, and these 10 are the weird ones, like the squeaky wheel. But, you know what I mean?
Yes, but here's my current dilemma and problem with that is when if you start with let's start with the Gospels in the book of Romans, okay? Like the Gospels, there are times when Jesus says, do this, do that. But he sums it up like the Sermon on the Mount. He's like, it's not on the Sermon on the Mount. He's asked what is the greatest. Maybe it is. He's asked what the greatest commandment is, and he says, love the Lord God with all your heart, soul, and mind, and then love others as yourself. Love your neighbor as yourself. Yeah. You know, who is my neighbor? He says it's everybody.
Yeah,
it's everyone. You like love others. And so basically right there he just sets the framework for how to interpret all of Scripture. That like he is the means for your forgiveness, for not obeying Levitical law, for wearing fabric that has more than one like one type of fabric. Clothes that have more than one type of fabric, or for not leaving the camp when you're menstruating, or touching a menstruating female, or, you know, like all these ridiculous things like eating shellfish or trimming the edges of your beard, which we don't do anymore because we accept that part of God's grace, but not the rest. And what I have the problem with is the church with the big C wants to tell you how to be good when you are good. Once you, like, in Romans, it just says all you need is faith. You need faith that Jesus was good on your behalf and that he died in your place. And you're good. You're done. Like, and I hope that means to people that don't believe it while they're in their bodies, they get a chance to accept it when they die. But like, there is no Jesus telling people do this or you go to hell. It is Jesus helping people navigate that statement where he's saying to love God with all your heart, soul, and mind, and love others as yourself. The rich young ruler that comes up to him and he's like, what do I have to do to be saved? And he's like, you specifically, dude, this is the thing that's keeping you from God, is you love your stuff. Sell it and give it to the poor. Like, stop putting this in between you and God, and then believe. This is him. He's saying this. And if you read the Gospels with that framework, you're going to see that Jesus only calls out the religious people. He only calls them out. Or if people specifically are like, what do I have to do? He'll read their mail and he'll just be like, this, sell everything. Do this. And I believe it is the same with the epistles, like with Paul, his letters. If you read Romans, the great thing about Romans is it was written to a church that Paul had never met. He knew some of the people that were there, but he was just like, like what most theologians feel like this is the sum of Paul's teachings, is reading Romans. It kind of pulls together all these ideas he had written to other churches. And he just says, this is it. The core of it is you are by design wicked, like you're broken.
Right.
You need salvation. And what is required for salvation is Christ to die, him to lead a blameless life, and you to accept that and accept that he loves you. Now you're saved. Now you're loved. Here are some things you can do with it, because the greatest commandment is this. You love the Lord with all your heart, and then you love others as much as you love yourselves. And when you read the rest of the epistles with that as your framework, it takes the edge off of Paul calling somebody out at the church in Corinth for dressing like a woman. It's because that person was not doing those two things. They were doing something that was distracting to the church. And he's saying, like, look, dude, this isn't love. You're not loving each other, what you're doing. He's not telling women not to speak in church. He's telling those women what they're doing is not loving. He's not saying, like, and the whole thing about, like, he there's 2 times where he just does this laundry list of, like, these things will separate you from God. And he's just talking to that church. He's like, idolaters, or are liars or slanderers, or since 1932 what has been translated as homosexuals, which really meant either people who were abusing young boys, or they were worshiping other gods by going after these temple prostitutes of Aphrodite. He's saying that. But even if he's saying homosexuals there, which he isn't, it's still to those people, and he's calling them out because they're not doing the most loving thing. And if you want to be specific and be like, oh, well, this means you can't go to heaven, you're in that list, because liars, and it just negates everything that Jesus said and the rest of what Paul has said about salvation. You can't just pull that out and be like, this is how to be good. This is what the church is about, telling you where you're wrong and you failed and you need to be good. And by the way, send us a check for this.
Yeah.
That's the problem I have with the church. Also, the church, when you gave at church, it was a building that was paid for by the people. It had a parsonage where the person that was your reverend or your pastor lived. They got a meager salary to live on, and then they usually went to other people's houses to eat with them, other families. That was how they survived. And the money you gave at church went to help the poor. And we are not doing that.
No, that's
That
definitely.
bothers me.
No, I definitely think you're right there. We'll get on that another time.
Okay.
Let's write that down. Make a note of that. Do you have your pen with you?
Make a note.
Make a note of that. We'll talk about that on the next time. As of right now, we have come to the end. And Reese, that was fantastic. You gave me a lot to think about there, and you got me cracking open Romans tomorrow, and starting to reread that and get into that. So I thank you for that. Thank you for those words that you gave us. But you guys, this is the end of the paid portion. And again, you guys, we thank you each and every single time that you give 1 cent of your hard-earned money or your child tax credit money to us. We thank you so much for that. And if there's anything we can ever do for you guys, feel free to reach out to us. You can find us on Instagram. Again, I usually message you back within a couple of hours at the most. You could reach us at Facebook. Check out the Diabolical Discussion page, which is a hilarious page that talks about continues conversations that start on here, things of that nature. And then I think, Reese, you do the Twitter and the Patreon.
Yes.
Answer those questions.
The Patreon, I don't answer them all. Do you go on there?
I don't. The last time I tried to go on, it said I needed to redo the password, and it sent you an email for verification.
geez.
And so I'm like, I can't do that. So,
All right, I'm going to fix that tonight.
okay. So that's it, you guys. Enjoy your week this week. Hope something has made you enjoy this or share it with someone. And again, we haven't said this in a while, but the best compliment you guys can pay us is to share this with someone, have somebody else listen to it, or rate us. Go on whatever streaming system you listen to this, whatever podcast system that you stream this on, and just give us a thumbs up or a 5 stars or whatever, and give a funny review about us. We love reading them. But just do that for us. That would be fantastic. I'm super tired, man.
Yeah, man, you had a long day. Thanks for doing this, Joe.
Yeah, for sure. All right, I love you, buddy. We're done.
Love you too, man. Peace!
See ya.
Pizza!
Pizza, pizza.